Um, one of the things I was reading some of your articles that you had, and one thing that really stood out to me, you had an ability to kind of, in an article, I was reading one of your articles, you had an ability to kind of pull you into the article, to kind of capture my attention while I was reading the article. And then all of a sudden I'm like, next one and next one and next one. So I just wanted to ask you, what is it like when you're writing an article? Because I'm not good at writing. Like writing is not a skill that I have, but what is it, or how are you able to take the thoughts in your head and then phrase it in such a way where you're able to say something that makes somebody go, wait, I need to know more about that? And what makes certain articles have that ability to stand out versus other articles?
Yeah, call to actions are super important. I learned that a little bit later in life. I like just write, oh, you just write for the fun of it, but you need to write in a way that's going to keep people's attention, because
Yeah.
online, so many things are pulling them in other
Hmm.
ways. So, starting with something that's going to evoke emotion is what keeps them reading. So if you ask them a question, or if you have an emotion such as fear, excitement,
Yeah.
love, it's going to keep them reading more if it's evoking that emotion in them. And then give them value in the actual article, and then close it with a strong call to action that's going to give them something, give them a to-do list item to do.
Yeah. Yeah. What has been the most, I guess, the most effective emotion that you've noticed has been like, if I use this, if I talk about this one thing, people tend to react, whether positively or negatively, on a certain subject.
It depends on the person. I think we all
Okay.
react differently. It's almost like I went to get a personal trainer and I had my choice of, did I want the person who was gonna, be really tough and evoke fear in
Hmm.
me? No, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not motivated by fear. I'm more motivated by excitement.
Yeah.
So I want the person who's gonna be really friendly and make it fun for me. So I think it's
Hmm.
the same thing with articles. So, I kind of change my I think of a different audience when I do my videos or my articles, because I'm active on TikTok, and it's the same thing on TikTok as it is
Yeah.
with articles. Like, start with that strong emotion, and go from there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So switching up lanes a little bit, a lot of what we talked about and a lot of things that you've done is just kind of around the idea of entrepreneurship. So, and you talked about writing a book, going through the whole process of the Guinness World record and all of that. So, is entrepreneurship something that even as a young child you've always been interested in, where you always I always use the example where you're always the kid that maybe bought candy bar and then sold it on the playground to other kids on the playground just to have a little bit of extra money? Or what exactly ignited that entrepreneurship spirit in you? Was it your family? Was it friends? What was it that has always brought that up in you?
Yeah. So I grew up in my parents' mom and pop carpet shop. So they own floor covering stores. And the first time I was there, I was a week old. And my mom always tells the story of how she had me in her arms and she was throwing down carpet samples to show
Wow.
the customers. But I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. Actually, in preschool, our preschool graduation, they said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to own the world's first dollar store slash dancing school hybrid," because I love dancing. I love dollar stores. But that was the only inkling that I gave of entrepreneurship. After that, I kept saying I want to be a medical doctor, I want to be a lawyer. But I always did entrepreneurial things. Like at age 8, I got really into collecting Mighty Beans, and the whole point of it was to collect a set, and you would get duplicates. So I realized that the only way I was going to be able to get a full set was to sell my duplicates and purchase the ones that I needed. So I've had my PayPal since I was 8 years old. I started selling Mighty Beans
Wow.
on eBay at 8 so I could complete my sets. And that was e-commerce. And I had no idea. I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur. I just thought, oh, this is something fun I'm doing.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the contests. And I started selling jewelry at street fairs. I just thought that, oh, these are hobbies. I never thought, oh, this is entrepreneurial, until you look back and you go, in retrospect, I was always an entrepreneur. I just didn't think of it that way, because in school, they don't talk to you like you can be
Hmm.
an entrepreneur. They talk to you like, oh, when you get a job, oh, when
Yeah.
you get an internship. So it didn't dawn on me that I could be an entrepreneur like my parents. Like, I literally thought, okay, I'll be working in a 9 to 5 office my whole life, and that's just how life is. And I think schools are getting better with that, but I do think they need to make it clear to kids, you can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So what's one of the, I guess I mean I'm still in the W2 9 to 5 world and doing that whole thing. But my question has always been like, what's one of the things that in the entrepreneurship world has been like kind of one of the greatest benefits versus a 9 to 5 uh area of like one of the things that you're like, I will never go back to I will never do a 9 to 5 because of this one thing that I have that I can do during my entrepreneurship or as an entrepreneur.
Well, you know what's funny? I say about the 9 to 5, but I work 9 to 5
Yeah.
hours just because it's easy. It makes the most sense. That's when everybody else is working. But I do like that I have the flexibility. Like Friday, my mother wanted to go to this garden that she had never been to, and I thought, can it wait? You know, can my work wait this Friday afternoon? I'm gonna take my mother to the garden. So I took off for a few hours to go to the garden with her. I couldn't have done that just on a whim if I was working for somebody, and it didn't hurt me. I just caught up on work. I'm working a couple extra hours today. No big deal. So that's a huge perk. You can have more flexibility for your family. The same thing with like the folks who work for me. You know, they have a lot more flexibility. They have families. They can do all that fun stuff. So that's great. I also like that I'm working for my own cause. You know, working for somebody that you don't know what they're doing with what you're producing. But here, I know, you know, okay, we're supporting this, we're supporting that. If I don't want to work with somebody, like we had a company that sells like these Powerade kind of drinks, and they're like, oh, tell people about the amazing medical health benefits of it. And I'm like, no, we can't lie, you know. If I was working for somebody, I might have to do something like that, but here I can make those decisions. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then just thinking back to just the entrepreneurship journey that you've been on, have you noticed, has it gotten easier as you've done it longer, or has it gotten harder as you've gone along on the journey as through your lifetime so far?
Yes to both. Some things have gotten way easier and some have gotten way harder. So my father told me the day I incorporated my company, he said, there's going to be something that goes wrong every single day. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Dad, sure. That sounds terrible. He was so right. In fact, it's more than one thing that goes wrong every day. So because it's been longer, yes, I'm able to anticipate and know, okay, something's going to go wrong today. But because we're growing, it's gotten a lot harder because there's always several things. But I think you can handle these things better the longer you go through it.
That's cool. That's cool. And then even just like learning how to handle those things. I was listening to a podcast from Gary Vee, and one of the things he was saying was, one thing you learn.
I hope you enjoyed that little snippet of the Rambling Mind podcast. If you want more of the Rambling Mind podcast, or if you want to listen to the whole episode that you just heard, go check it out on any podcast listening platform, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Stitcher. I could go on, but you guys already know which podcast you love to use to listen to. So go check it out. Link down in the description as well. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Peace.